Welcome to Positive Moments with Andrew and Don.
Let everything go.
That was such a life-changing experience.
It's a way of life, it's a way of being, it's a way of thinking, it is mind management.
It inspires me to know that there's more to learn every single day.
Welcome back, everybody. Episode number 13. Yes, the lucky number 13, and we'll be telling you why. Today we have a beautiful topic, a beautiful, lovely lady, athlete, role model, woman, daughter, lady of the soil, who will be telling you all about her story. Today's topic is about overcoming challenges through change. How can you flip that negative into a positive? How can you go after injuries, after downfalls, after people's letting you down, after so-called failure after failure after failure? How do you keep your head up? How do you survive through that? Well, she has a beautiful story and she's going to tell you all about that. So, but before we bring her on, we got to bring on the other side of the show. Don, welcome back.
Wow. And even as you use that word failure is a combination of if, you, and real. And hello, if you real, all of us have had something that we had to overcome. And let me tell you, from what I gather and looking at her size, and so we have a national athlete here. I mean, I know Andrew didn't say her name as well. I'm not waiting. Let me say her name is Sherelle Thompson. Sherelle Thompson, some would know her as a swimmer, and I think immediately we have to dive right in because she has a fantastic story to tell. And Sherelle, I just want to take you back a couple years when I was like all about 25. I think that's and you were getting ready for a big meet. So you're a swimmer, in fact. I say a trainer because I'm trying to be a good swimmer. So let's go with that. In case you're wondering, you're looking at us, you want to be a trimmer, a trying to be a good swimmer, it's quite all right. You go ahead. But let me just tell you, you're getting ready to wear the red, white, and black. And it looks as if swimming is going to be, you could see way ahead, maybe, 20. What was the last Olympics we had? We had the 2020. So 2024, I'm going all the way. I'm going 2028. And then, but some things didn't go the way you wanted. So everybody has a story. Tell us a little bit about your story and what started you off, and a little bit, how old were you in the pool from? What age?
I started swimming at 4 years old. I was in kindergarten and learned to swim with a coach in South in Petrotrin, and I just instantly loved the water. So I looked forward every week when the kindergarten class was going to our extracurricular activity to get into the water and just have so much fun.
Andrew, every time she says water, she has a smile on her face. So you could see that you felt that you're born to swim. There was something about the pool. What about the early hours? I understand you have early hours, you have to go in the water. That wasn't a problem for you?
That is a different story. The time of day makes a difference. Now, I'm not a morning person, but now as an older person, it's no easier to wake up, but I am now more driven and have my goals ahead of me that help me to get out of the bed in the morning a lot easier than when I was younger.
You sound purpose-driven, but let me tell you, where you are right now, it didn't start off there. I want to know about your start. I want to know about you. So you transferred from 4 years old. Tell us, just carry us up a couple of years and see what happened. Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, so I learned to swim at 4, loved the water, but I have always also loved sport, being active. A young girl, I was a tomboy of sorts and was always in the street, either playing cricket, football, basketball, whatever sport was being played, I was around and I was excited to be a part of it. And throughout primary school, I would have joined a club also near the school I was going to in St. Gabriel's, and but I participated in primary school swim meets, and then on to secondary school, was representing my my high school there as well, and had always just, like I said, had a passion for being in the water. And at the time when I was in high school, I was deciding between playing football and swimming, and I would also participate in track and field events when sports day came around. I just loved sport. But as I got older and as my talent in swimming became more and more apparent to my coaches, they were encouraging me to focus my attention, focus my energy to my sport and not risk getting injured out of the pool. And so I had to let go of football. I also had to drop out of zonals competition one year. I had to have that hard conversation with my PE teacher and say, you know, I have to really protect my body as I'm getting ready to represent the country, because from teenage years, my first national team, I was probably 12 or 13 and representing Trinidad and Tobago at the Curvita Games. So I was a Curvita athlete, and then also would have participated in the Caribbean and Central American regional championships, and also represented at a number of games from Commonwealth to Pan Am World Championships. And for me, one of the things that I really enjoyed about the sport is the fact that the doors that it opened for me, and the fact that I was able to see the world through the sport. So as a teenager, it was a big appeal for me to continue to train and to work really hard and set my goals, my time standards that I wanted to make each year, so that I could wear the red, white, and black and find myself in Italy and India and see the world and meet people from all across the globe. And that's my story. But I also would have, at some point, interacted with older and more senior swimmers, and they were Olympians. I met George Boisveld and Chantal McLean, our previous Olympians, and both of them, at different points in my journey, they would have played a role in motivating and inspiring me to be an Olympian myself. And it wasn't until I think it was 2008, I remember waking up really early to see Chantal McLean swim. And she swam the same event that I did, the 50-meter freestyle. And I was like square in front of the TV, and I looking up at the screen, looking at her stand behind the block, and I said I wanted to do that as well. And another experience I remember was in the pool at St. Michael's in South, and George Boisveld came down. He was training with Anil Roberts at the time, and I just remember looking on at him and the way that he was training, the way he was preparing, how focused and driven he was. And then also when he came back and did swim camps with his teammates that he trained with abroad, I was really inspired by those interactions. And those were just two of the moments that for me stood out as inspiring moments that to help me to decide that I wanted to be an Olympian as well.
Wow, you know, positive moments that Andrew and Don. In this episode, we're going in depth, you know, on, you know, challenges and how you have to change to overcome challenges. And this whole flow of your experience in life thus far just seems like it's flowing nice. You're going, you're winning races, nationals, and you're doing well in Trinidad. You're inspired by George and inspired by the athletes, and things are just looking up. Everyone has your back, has your, you know, I feel like it's a really, really beautiful pathway, an easier pathway that you're on. And most of the time it happens as young athletes. It's a lot easier in many instances to succeed. But it's until the big leagues come and the big challenges come, it's when things get shaken up, no?
Definitely.
Or when we start to push real hard. What happens from there?
Yeah, the moment that you begin to set your goal really far, set the bar really high, that's when life is like, okay, how bad do you want it? How bad do you want it? And part of my journey would have been would have taken me to the US for college, and that was one of the first.
On a scholarship?
Yes, I was on a summer scholarship, and that was one of the first moments of pressure, but in a positive way. It was the first experience that I had now transitioning from home soil, Trinidad and Tobago, being among people that I had grown to know over a number of years and being with my family and everything. And then stepping outside to further my academics and my athletic career, knowing that I wanted to become a doctor. I wanted to also become an Olympian, and going outside, being in the US was the best opportunity for me to be able to pursue both. So in college was where I started off the bat with an injury. And that was one of the first challenging moments that I had. And it really tested my resilience and my commitment to this goal that I had of representing Trinidad and Tobago at the Olympics. And it was at the onset, like I said, of starting my collegiate career that I had a diagnosis of a slap tear, a torn labrum, and my bicep was detached. The surgeon said that it was one of the worst that they had ever seen. And to be quite honest, when my coaches saw me even coming out, as I would have gone through the rehabilitation process and started back slowly into the water, finally starting to be able to pick up some speed, my coaches were watching and like, where's this girl going? Like, where has she come from? But I continued to
Because
persevere.
you were fighting, right?
Yeah, and I also, so I would have shared about the successes that I had as a teenager being in Trinidad and Tobago, but I left and became a small fish in a big pond. So I am there, not leading the pack. I'm behind the group, working as hard as I can in training sets, and when I go to competition though, I showed myself, and my coaches were taking more and more notice of me because, I mean, one, the injury was really bad, and I am competing with a team that is also vying for NCAA championships. And it was because of my perseverance, because of my hard work, my attention to all of the lessons. I was there to learn, I was there to grow. And as I paid attention and absorbed everything that I could, even using my teammates as competition day in and day out to help me to get better, and like I said, learning a lot from my coaches, coming out of that injury, I was able to, finish, fast forwarding a few years to finishing my collegiate career as an NCAA swimmer, a Division One, All SEC, All American, to have accomplished those accolades after the injury that I had and knowing where I came from in terms of being behind the pack on the team. It was a real accomplishment. But in order for me to get there, the path of becoming an All-American, becoming an NCAA finalist, it was day in and day out, hard work, persevering through the injury that was one I didn't expect to see coming. Like Andrew said, the path looked really clear and it was inspiring and exciting. I'm ready to go. I'm heading abroad, starting college, a new experience, a new adventure. And here I am with a sling on my arm, walking around campus and watching my teammates train for like the first 8 months of my collegiate career.
I imagine there were many times that you wanted to give up.
Definitely.
And they say a bend in the road is not the end of the road unless you forget to make the turn. And having to walk around with a little sling and knowing that the arm is so important for swimming, what kept you focused? Because you still had a dream, I imagine. You still had a dream, but this injury is real. And I mean, what you described there as the injury is not a small injury. It's not like a little cut like going to heal after a little while. This could put you totally out of your career. You could just give up on the whole thing.
Right. For me, there were a couple of things. The family support that I came from back home. Thankfully, we had the World Wide Web. At that time, it was still Skype. That was the way that we were communicating, and I think Viber was another one. I mean, we're past those things now.
Free.
Right? We know they're free, right? But that was I was in constant communication with them, and their support and prayers were a real help for me, as well as the environment that I had on the team. I also was very fortunate to be on a team surrounded by people who supported me and wanted to see me grow and to be successful as well. And so to have that positive encouragement from my environment was a huge factor in me being able to persevere. And then lastly, it was also my faith. I have always been a person that has been believing in God and believing in His sovereignty and knowing that He works things out for a purpose and for a purpose that is for my good. So as much as it was so hard, and I mean, this is one of, we're gonna get into the other chapters of my story, but this was like the first big chapter, and here I was at that point being like, I cannot do this. I don't think I maybe should be considering another sport. Like swimming probably was not what I was supposed to be doing. I need to find another sport to do. And then I also remember being in tears, like this workload is too much. I left and started college, and I was in tears saying these assignments, they're like coming so fast and so quickly, and it just felt like a whole lot. It was a lot of pressure, but that would have been the beginning of the growth of my capacity and my ability to bear load, to take on challenge.
Wow, and if I'm hearing correctly, you're mixing the academic with the sport as well, too.
Yeah, both things were important for me.
So both things were important. So even though you had an injury to overcome, you still remained focused with the academics, still not giving up your other goal. Because many people sometimes feel that it's just a smooth road and all this is just going to work out. But I like the fact that you're faith and you have a big God. So you know, for example, that He's not gonna let me go, and I'm gonna go for it. And Andrew, a lot of people give up. I mean, even from your own story, Andrew, of not giving up, which is so admirable, and many of us admire you for it. It really talks about resilience. And so after not getting, you didn't. I'm hearing correctly. You didn't make it on the Olympic team with what was good. You didn't make it on that.
2012,
And that was on 2012?
No.
So the injury the injury, wow.
Dashed that hope
But it
away.
wasn't over, because here's what we have: Rio in 4 years' time. You know, did you have to do any surgery as well too?
I did actually have to do a second surgery in 2015, and that was a bit of a concern. Feeling the pain again coming up towards the end of my collegiate career, and I know Rio 2016 is around the corner. Is Olympics possible? And I did the surgery, but it was a lot better than the surgeons expected. And I didn't have another tear, but they did clean up scar tissue, and so I was on the road after that surgery in 2015, working towards Rio, continuing towards Rio.
Wow, Andrew, she seems very, very driven, because here, Olympics 2016 in Rio is around the corner, and you're willing to make that turn. You're willing to say, look, I'm going to get there, but somehow Rio didn't materialize. I mean, we may not get into the sensitivity of it, but Rio just didn't happen. How was that for you?
Yeah. The disappointment there was, it definitely cut deep. I, would have shared the lead up to 2012, and then having overcome that first challenge, I'm like, yes, Rio is it. Road to Rio, here we go. And I would have given everything that I could. And like I shared, I went through the process of undergoing the second surgery, and then when things worked out a lot better than expected, my motivation was rekindled.
Yes. One time you could taste and see, yeah, hello, you're there.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it didn't happen.
It didn't happen. So all of that is why that would have cut deep. And the reason too is because it's for reasons outside of my control. But the thing is, coming out of that, I realized, so I would have qualified, made an Olympic standard to go to Rio in the 50-meter freestyle. But at the end of the day, my name wasn't called, and I wasn't selected to be on the team heading to the games. So I had to take a step back, and I had my plans of how I saw life panning out for the second time.
Whoa.
But I was towards the end of my collegiate career, and I'm deciding, okay, this is where I will be putting down my cap and goggles, and it would be at a highlight of representing Trinidad and Tobago at the Rio Olympic Games. But that's not the way it turned out. So I had to take a step back. I really had to process it and look find a way to see what was positive coming out of it. But it did knock me off my feet for some time, and I would have I had to get support both professionally and from my family and friends.
You know, what I so admire about that honesty, Andrew, is that some people think getting professional help, it's a bad thing. But let me hear we have an athlete who understood that I still have a dream in front of me. And this is not a one-man show, a one-lady show. Right. It means that I can have a team around me. Your team was very important. And again, I mean, whether it's through Skype or whichever medium, but you had people around you who were supporting you and saying, go, Sherelle, go. I mean, you're swimming and you don't really hear people screaming, go, Sherelle, go. But let me tell you, Sherelle, I'm imagining inside of your name, there's an S. No, there's no S, it's a C. So therefore that C...
It's French.
It's French, so Sherelle. I just tell you, no, it's okay, I could see, but I could just tell you, the C means that from the beginning, they had to have some courage. And what I'm getting from you, courage is really a combination of our and cage. And our is inside of cage, and it's our responsibility to get out of any cage. And you could have been in a mental cage there. Yeah. You could have decided, here what, 2012, it was bad enough, my shoulder was injured, it was on the left or the right?
It was the right.
It was the right. So things didn't seem so right, you know, so we can't go forward because they're not seeming right. And then we go to 2016 and this has to be it. And then that wasn't it. But Sherelle didn't give up, Andrew.
Before she goes past 2016, let's reflect a little bit here. Because we're talking about challenges and things that need to change. What are some of the major, give us 2 examples, some major changes in your life that were required from the challenges that were born from Rio, from London, from college, from 4 years old in the pool, if you want?
Yeah. One that comes to mind, I want to make reference to something you just said, Don, about having courage to come out of the cage. And I definitely felt that way. I was, you know, in a virtual cage, as it were, for a period of time mentally. And also, as you said, the power of your environment, the power of my environment, and the team of people that were around me that God brought into my life to literally a part-time job that I worked at in the interim. I met a coworker there, and just the conversations that we had, I remember looking at her and being like, okay, this is the reason why I'm here. And it was just our conversation. She's not a professional psychologist or anything, but the way that she questioned me and some little things that she would have said along the way in our conversations, it started to put me along a path of like a new perspective. And I was like her helping to open the cage. And then another person that God brought into my life later on would have been Andrew. And if I'm as an individual, I'm not as an individual in a place where I'm mentally not able to step out of this hole or dark situation on my own, having somebody come into my life and to speak in ways and question me in ways that will give me a shift in perspective, that was really helpful for me to be able to come out of that cage. And so to answer your question, Andrew, one of the things that I had to do in being able to move past 2016 was firstly accept 2016.
Ooh, could you just do a repeat? You wouldn't do it to the camera. Could you just say repeat? That's fantastic. Yeah. That's fantastic.
To be able to move past 2016, one of the biggest disappointments of my life, the first thing I had to do was to accept 2016, acceptance of what it was and what it did to me. And then the second thing that I would have learned from you, Andrew, as we interacted, was also being able to take from that what was within my control to change. So what is the lesson from it that I could, from the situation, if there's anything at all? Yes, for the large part, there was a lot of it that was outside of my control. But if there was anything at all that was within my control for me to do differently, how can I, what changes can I make as an individual to help me to have a better outcome if I were to pursue this in the future? And that was the beginning as well for me of being able to move past 2016 in a questioning way of what if? What if is it possible that there is a Sherelle in competitive swimming in the future beyond 2016? Because at that point I was done. I hung up the cap and goggles. I gave my closing remarks on social media, and I said farewell to the swimming community. I also had the opportunity to share at one of the meetings that they had, and I spoke as a former swimmer. But being able to, like I said, accept 2016 for what it was, and then take the lesson from it and see what was within my control to change. Those two things helped me to make some huge positive steps forward, and I'm excited to share what comes next.
Wow. You know, Andrew, I'm listening. There are two L's in Sherelle. Yes. So there was a lesson in 2012. There's a lesson in 2016. And just when you say you close up shop, you put down the cap and the goggles and so, what I think really happened is that Sherelle, you said, there's a Sherelle who can give up.
Right.
And the lesson is less on, so I'm still able to go on. There's less that I have to take forward. So you now start to come into who is the real Sherelle. And I think in that journey that you've been taking us so eloquently through, in that journey you start to discover who you really are. And that person is still Sherelle, the swimmer. You know, so Andrew, I want to dive and get straight into, because Sherelle still went on. Yeah. I mean, after Rio, she went on.
What I think is a great way to look at those two L's, Don, is that we have all these experiences happening, and they are adding up. Wow. And when we take the two L's and we put them like this,
wow, it's an equal. Oh,
it's an equals. So what comes next? What comes next?
Wow.
That is the ability to take all of the experiences.
Yeah, we're adding up.
That are adding up. And what do we get an equal sign to do?
Experiences were adding up. People that were being sent into my life purposefully, they were adding up. And in 2017, towards the end of 2017, I had one other person a coach who I had known from my childhood. He came to me and asked me one question that was kind of the deciding moment for me to get back into the pool. And he asked me point blank, has the dream died? And that was, I said no. There's something still there that I have not been able to let go of. And that was the moment that I made a decision to get back into the pool and to pursue competitive swimming again. And Tokyo 2020 became the goal.
Wow. I know it's not the first time you're going to hear it on this program, but dreams become a reality for those who do more than just dare to dream. And you had to dig deep. You certainly had to do more to decide. I didn't make it in the first two. I didn't make it in 2012. I didn't make it in 2016, but certainly 2020, which turned out to be 2021, but 2020, which is like clear vision, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to see a pathway, and I'm going to go for it. Sherelle, I want you to look to the camera that's directly in front of you. And Sherelle, I believe there's a youngster or 2, 3, 4, or even more, a youngster who they've given up already. The promise was there, the potential was there, the coaches are saying you could do it. But Sherelle, I want you to speak to that youngster in front of you and let them know, Sherelle Thompson, didn't you just speak to them and come on, you just get them fired up inside. You know, I believe you can do that. I want you to just talk to that camera, to that youngster. Somebody's giving up right now. Somebody's watching Positive Moments, and there's not the same way you had divine intervention. I'm saying even now, Positive Moments right now being aired on TTT and going to be on YouTube. Positive Moments is divine intervention for somebody. Speak to them.
So to that young boy or young girl listening to my voice right now, you're looking at me and wondering whether or not your dream could come true, whether or not your dream could become a reality. You're looking at somebody who I would have been through the fire, and I at one point also had that same question. Could my dream come true or become a reality for me? And the answer is yes. The fact that the dream was given to you means that you have the capability and the capacity to accomplish it. What I'm saying to you today is that you have what it takes, but it will take all that you have. It will take all that you've got. So give it your best shot. We're going to continue to dive into some of the steps that I would have taken in order to see my dream become a reality, and I hope that it will continue to encourage and inspire you.
Don't I think that message is coming? What is that message we hear in the background there?
Yeah, because I'm hearing like roof, 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 which means, everybody is just, this thing is
I
off
think
the
he's
roof.
like,
Because
yes,
let me
this
tell
is
you,
exciting.
that sound is really like off the roof, because Sherelle, you're really hitting it there. And Sherelle, let me tell you, we have to have these things happen, and just like we had the noise on the roof and things, right? But Sherelle, these things happen. These things happen in the middle of when things seem to be flowing. But guess what? They flow, and some might say no, but you realize Sherelle says, I could go. And once I go, she was willing to grow, and after that, she could even glow. So let me tell you, Sherelle, and that's why you have that smile on your face. Sherelle, that's very important for you to recognize. And I think by your own recognition of where you were in your journey, recognizing that it took, in some cases, divine intervention. Sherelle, you were not about to give up. You got put on the spot, and spot backwards is tops. You are still willing to go for the tops in your field, because guess what? Every athlete, a serious athlete with the red, white, and black, there are different games, and then certainly Olympics are one of the big games. So, Sherelle, I am just so interested to hear you say it. After 2016, there was Tokyo.
It was Tokyo.
And what had happened? So you got 2 disappointments before.
After 2016, there was a knockoff, got back on the horse, and then there was Tokyo.
So did you get to Tokyo, Sherelle?
I can excitedly say that I did make it to Tokyo 2021. there was a delay, but it was not cancelled.
What did that delay do to you?
That was another disappointment. It was another curveball. But by that point,
Did it
Andrew,
scare you like 16 and
it
12?
did not. It did not. And that's the way that things would have added up along the way, because after having curveball and disappointment and challenge along the way up until that point, I kind of saw it coming that they were either going to cancel or postpone it. But at that point, I had gotten to a place where I was committed to enjoying the journey no matter the outcome. And once they made the official announcement that they were going to postpone the games, I accepted it for what it was. It was a hard pill to swallow, but I accepted it. And I more quickly was able to evaluate, okay, where do I go from here? And because I had to make some quick decisions when the games were postponed. I had plans. Things were mapped out as how I was going to complete the games and transition to medical school, and then transition to playing a different role in sport. But the games were postponed, and I needed to decide what would Sherelle do? How was Sherelle going to move forward? And the postponement was another divine disruption. There was a lot of excitement that took place within the span of those 12 months that the games were postponed.
Wow, and I could actually feel the excitement. And Sherelle, eventually 2021, you're on a plane and you're heading to Tokyo. What was sit down in that plane, because I'm finally making my Olympic. Just give us a little idea of what the mindset. You just sit down on that plane, and Andrew, I don't know, Andrew went as well. Yeah, Andrew went 21. Yeah. He said he might have been on the plane there, But let me just tell you, you can just imagine you sat down there, and you're finally doing, Andrew, she's finally heading to an Olympic Games to represent Trinidad and Tobago. Did you walk out in the opening ceremony too?
I did.
And what was that like? Because you missed two opening ceremonies.
Right.
What was that like? What was that like for me?
Yeah. I mean, both the plane ride and the opening ceremony, being on that plane to Tokyo, I'm a very reflective person, and my sports psychologist also gave me a couple of questions to be thinking about. So I was journaling a lot throughout the plane ride, but once the plane began to make its final descent, I was like, this is happening. I'm actually, making it to...
Splash, I'm taking a bath.
Yes. And I felt the same excitement, like once I was making my way around the corner to head to that aquatic center, the aquatic arena. That was the most exciting experience for me, to have finally walked through those that opening at the aquatic center and to see the Olympic rings everywhere, from in the water to in the stands, and just to take it all in. There were no spectators, but it was just very an awesome moment.
Well, there's water in the pool, but certainly you would have had a tearful moment, or one or two little tearful moments.
Surprisingly, no, not at that point. For me, I think it was when it was all said and done.
Wow. Is it finished? 2024, is that a prospect? What's 2024 hold for Sherelle?
Who knows? At this point, I mean, we fast forwarded quite a bit, but I'm right now taking things one step at a time. I'm setting short-term goals now that Tokyo 2021 is over, and I am working towards competitions that are months in advance, and we'll see where 2024.
Wow. And your specialist is what, the 50-meter?
Yes, I'm sprint freestyle, so I do the 50-meter freestyle.
Which is over in how many seconds? What's your best time?
Less than 20. My best time is 25.3
Second.
25.3 seconds.
Wow. Andrea, I take a long time to walk. To swim that fast is like, you know what I mean? Wowee.
It's a fast race, 20
But I'm
25
listening
seconds.
to her, and I think she has a 24 something inside of her. Now that might be a world record. I don't know how swimming, where it is. But I
Not quite
believe
a world record, but yes, that's it. That's
yeah?
next goal for
the
me.
next goal. But Sherelle, I'm listening to you, and honestly, I feel inside of you there's a 24 and a high 23 maybe inside of you, because you have walked the path. And I mean, some people. How many E's in Sherelle?
2.
So every experience is meant for the next experience. And certainly with your experiences, Sherelle, I believe that you are going to have even a better qualifying time and so. And I believe we could still be chatting with a medal winner. It's not about the medals. We just think about the medal, the goals.
Icing on the cake, but the experience.
But the experience itself is invaluable, And Sherelle, you're just to me a role model. That's what I've seen you growing into. Are you mentoring any youngsters in the pool now? Are you mentoring?
Yes, I've reached out to a few athletes, and I'm also an Rise Athlete Mentor, an organization founded in the U.S. by two U.S. Olympians. But I am officially a Rise Mentor, and also locally interacting with a few nationals as well.
So Sherelle, when you reflect on your journey thus far, do you believe it was important for you to have to go through these heartbreaks prepare you for your future?
Yes, that is not something that is welcomed. Like, to say that I expected those things to have happened, or to excitedly want to take them on. But in hindsight, as I would have reflected on my experiences, evaluated my experiences, those challenging, disappointing, curveball experiences were all very, very necessary and integral in me becoming the person that I am today. They would have, the experiences would have stretched my capacity to become a more resilient young person, to become more driven, to become more aware of what exactly I want, and to be able to map out how I wanted to get there, and to have a plan that at least I can come back to, even though life doesn't go always according to plan.
By now we learn that, yeah? After that,
Definitely.
Whoa.
But at least being able to know where you're going, and the ways, being able to count the costs, how are you going to get there, what it would look like to get there, some of the ways that I would have been able to grow, and one of the biggest ones was definitely me being able to grow in my faith and my trust in God, because along the way there were some experiences, some places that I got to that there was no way without Him I would be able to call myself an Olympian right now. I would not have gotten where I am today if it wasn't because of God and my faith in Him.
So what y'all are seeing here today, boys, girls, ladies, gentlemen, all the viewers, courtesy Republic Bank, what you are seeing here today is a true testimony of the importance of what challenges can do for you. It could bring positive change. Once you decide to change it into something positive. What Sherelle has explained here, she's gone through heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak. But those two beautiful L's in her name. And you all have, believe it or not, you may not have double L in your name, but you all have that inside of you. You all have that equal sign that says you can go on to the next thing. You can achieve Olympic status. You can achieve business, health, family, whatever it is. That status exists in you, no matter the challenges. And Don, I want to ask you an important question, because we hear the powerful story of Sherelle, and Sherelle, the same question goes for you. That there's a point in your life, Don, where you have had endless challenges, but somehow your confidence stays high. Somehow your belief stays high. Yes, you believe in God, and God is your rock, and God is your creator, and God is the one who keeps you floating. But through God's gift of the ability for you to create and for the ability for you to decide your next step in life, there has been a foundation built that you could always go on somehow. And sure, I want you to answer the same thing too, because once you reach this Olympic status and once you reach a certain place in your life now, you could almost take on anything. But Don, you go first.
You know, but Andrea, I just want to go straight to that word GIF. And that word GIF is G and then IFT. In GIF you have if and then you have it. God has given all of us a gift. If we use it, it's not up to God, it's up to us. And every single gift will FIT fit, because you can't have gift without a FIT. And certainly knowing that the gift is there. Andrew, knowing that the gift is there, knowing that God has gifted all of us, not a Andrew Lewis and just a Sherelle, right? Thompson, God has gifted all of us to be able to do something. And Sherelle had to keep remembering that she was gifted. That her first coach that said, Sherelle, you can take this all the way to the Olympics, she still had to keep believing in that. And it's very important, we have to keep believing. We have to keep believing. And in spite of the curveballs, inside of the corners that come, the things that try to hit us, we have to go and stuff. Don't be fooled. Things happen in life that none of us expect. We can plan and God laughs, because he sees that somewhere around the road, something is going to go a little wrong with that plan. But the plan is for us to continue. I want somebody to hear us carefully. You have to continue. Yes, you might have to do it in 4-year intervals. Andrew, you know it happens every 4 years and whatever.
You're so very right, Don. Like you said, there's a gift in each and every one of us. And the number of challenges that we go through, the number of trials that we face, it does not devalue or take away what is within you. And there's an analogy that I love, I learned when I was a teenager, is the value of a $100 bill will not change at all, even if it is soaked, torn, mudded up, or crushed. The value of that $100 bill is the exact same, despite all the challenges or difficult things that it went through. And one of the things that allows me to be able to move from challenge to challenge and grow from challenge to challenge is adopting a growth mindset and having the importance is in the perspective from which you see the situation. So if you see the challenge as something that was brought to you to knock you out and to take you away from, to remove you from being able to achieve that goal or dream that you have set out to achieve, that's just what you will get. That's what it will be equal to, like Andrew said. But if you see that challenge as something that is making you stronger, more equipped and ready to take on and to accept, to receive that dream that you're working towards, you'll be able to grow closer to it in a transformed way.
Well, I think there's a lot that we received today, because let me tell you, Sherelle, this is sponsored by Republic Bank. But let me just tell you, you are representing the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago beautifully. And I have no doubt that you're going to continue to do the same. You're able to take what seemed to be a trial and turn it into a trail for others to follow. And that trail you have rail, and that's something you can hold on and others can actually hold on and be able to go places, you know. So I want to encourage you, you know, even on behalf of Positive Moments, this inspires us. You know, yeah, we might try to be an inspiration to others, but certainly having the wonderful guest that we have on, Andrew, is certainly an inspiration to us because somebody's looking at you, Sherelle, and saying, if she can, so can I. If Andrew can get up, so can I get up. If Don can do things with words, Andrew's going to do it as well too.
No, thank you so very much. I really, really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure to be here and to share my story.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that Sherelle, Dawn, and myself gave you nothing but love and positivity. May you continue to overcome all your challenges through positive change because you can. Dawn, over to you.
Well, let me just tell you, folks, it's not over till it's really over. Hear me? It's not really over. So we're going to have another episode. But I encourage you, you've watched us live today, you need to go on the YouTube channel, Positive Moments with Andrew and Don. There's so much more if you want to email us. Andrew, what's that email address again?
andrewanddawnlive@gmail.com.
Wow, wow, wow. And we hope you come again, everyone, every single one of you. This has been Positive Moments. We thank Republic Bank again for making it possible. And again, the dreams, listen to me, splish splash, don't take a lash, listen to me. The program, it want to crash, but no, listen to me. You just go for the finish line. And you like Sherelle, you could do that in a dash. Plap, plap. Go ahead.